Cars are cool as hell, no one can deny that. You got big cars, small cars, fast cars, cars that go vroom, and cars that go pew pew pew. Looking at you, Tesla. But have you ever felt overwhelmed when someone talks about 3-liter V6, turbo 6 cylinder, 800 volt tech, blah blah blah? We all have that one guy in our friend group. I know it cause I'm the guy in mine. I can see the faces of some of my friends when me and my other car enthusiast friends start talking about a new model that gets released. It looks like they would rather watch paint dry than to be in that conversation. They just nod along with a smile, pretending to understand. Well, fear not friends, this video will explain everything about cars in as simple way as possible. It won't be one of those videos where the guy says explain it like I'm 5 and then starts talking about quantum physics or whatever. So let's get started. In very layman terms, every car has 3 main components nerds like us mainly talk about: the engine, the transmission, and the drivetrain. If you know what these 3 are, then you basically have most of the knowledge to build a car. Let's first talk about the engine, the heart of the car as people say. This is probably one of the most confusing parts I think, because people throw out terms like V6, V12, W16, N95. Oh wait, that's a mask. Anyway, all these numbers and letters are very simple to understand. Every engine has these things called cylinders, inside which are pistons which go up and down with combustion, which then generates power to make the car move, yada yada yada. If you actually want to know all the ins and outs, there are so many great explainer videos which show you in slow motion all the parts and how they work. For this video, let's just say we have the question paper for the exam and the workings of the engine are out of syllabus. Now about these V6, V12 and whatnot, they are what defines the car. The numbers, the 6, 12, 16, these are the numbers of cylinder in the car. The more the number, the stronger the car. Something smaller and cheaper like the ones you might have gotten or might get from your dad as your first car would most likely have a 4-cylinder like the Honda Civic, whereas cars that your uncle flexes like Mustangs or Corvettes would have 8 or more. The Bugatti has 16. I would have loved to tell you that more cylinders more gooder, but that's not really the case. However, more cylinder does mean smoother ride, better sound, and more power delivery. Now that we have learned about what the number is, let's talk about the letter P, W, I, etc. These are the layouts in which the cylinders are arranged. I or inline engine is the simplest of them all, and if someone says they have a car with inline or I engine, just give them money for McDonald's and pray for them in church. I'm just kidding. Inline engines are simple mainly because the cylinders are placed one after the other in a horizontal layout. It's cheap, has way less cylinders it can manage, and has fewer moving parts overall. It also has a lower center of gravity. Now you may ask, what the hell is that and why does it matter? Right? Basically, a lower center of gravity equals your car won't be eligible for a Fast and Furious movie audition. It keeps the car balanced and on the ground even during reckless driving. A V layout, as it might suggest, is how the cylinders are placed in the shape of a V. But why, you may ask? First off, you want to place as many cylinders as you can. Just imagine putting 12 or 16 cylinders one after the other in an inline layout. That would look like Squidward if it was a car. A V shape allows you to shove 2 cylinders side by side at an angle, making it shorter and way easier to fit inside the engine bay. The lower the angle, the less smoother it gets. There are also many other pros and cons for it. Cars like Camry and many trucks have V6. American muscle cars have V8. Cars like Lambo, Dodge, Viper uses V10. The ultra-rich and luxurious ones like Rolls-Royce use V12. Next is W. Now you might think W is just 4 cylinders arranged side by side in the shape of a W. However, it's 2 V-shapes that are joined together, which can basically be called a W, right? Anyway, the main benefit of it is that because 2 V cylinders are stacked together, it can let manufacturers shove an absurd amount of cylinders into the same compartment. Cars like the Bugatti Chiron have a W16 engine, meaning it has 16 cylinders shoved inside it. An H or F layout is like if you took a V layout and pushed it down so the cylinders lies flat against each other, which means the piston moves sideways instead of up and down. There are a lot of benefits to this. First is lower center of gravity, which as I said earlier helps keep the car out of audition list for Fast and Furious. Second is that it greatly increases handling, and that's why cars like Porsche 911, Cayman and others use it. However, the downside is that it makes the engine wider, giving it that big booty as people would say. I mean, no one says it, it's just me. Whatever, moving on. Lastly, we have VR. No, it's not virtual reality engine or engine running on a cloud server. VR is basically a V layout, but the angle is very low. I'm talking about 15 degrees or lower. It's basically a hybrid between an inline and a V layout. The main purpose for this is to have something like 6 cylinders cramped up in a space that's mainly reserved for 4 or less. VW Golf R32 and some Audi models uses it. However, it's extremely rare, maybe one of the least used ones to date. And there we go. You basically have most of the engine knowledge jotted down. The last part is the liter part. What's a 2.8 liter V8 or 3 liter V6? That's the displacement or total volume of all the cylinders. A 3L or 3 liter V6 means 6 cylinders have a total of 3 liters of volume, which means when you divide 3 liters by 6, you get 0.5 liters or 500cc size cylinders. Larger count basically means you have more space for fuel to burn, and that produces more power. If you want a reference, a Honda Civic has 1.5 liter i4 engine and Bugatti Chiron has 8 liter W16. Hooray! That's basically all you need to know when you talk about engines. But as a bonus, let's talk about one more thing. It's the induction type. Let me tell you, if you say things like naturally aspirated or supercharged or turbocharged, things like that, your car friends would literally cream their pants. Naturally aspirated is the simplest one. When pistons move up and down, air is pushed in and out. Everything happens naturally. It means the power delivery is instant and does not require it to wait for external force to push the air in. However, this also means it will require more space to generate the same amount of power compared to, let's say, a supercharged engine, because the amount of air entering is limited. Next is turbocharged. In simple terms, the gas that comes out of the exhaust is also used to spin a turbine, which then forces air inside those cylinders, which allows bigger combustion, meaning more power delivery for smaller cylinder size. And finally, there is supercharged, which instead of using the exhaust gas, the engine just forces air directly into the cylinders for combustion. Hey, you are now basically an engine expert. One of the 3 components done. Frankly, that's the most intimidating one of the 3. Transmission is simple. Well, simple enough to talk about it. That's because all it does is it delivers power that the engine makes to the drivetrain. However, there are many nuances to it, which we won't get into. There are 2 main types of transmission, manual and automatic. Manual is one where after every 2 seconds your hand twitch and you need to move a big stick in order to drive the vehicle smoothly. Is that a word? Smoothly? I'm going with it. So manual is much more hands-on approach to driving. You constantly need to shift the gears to make your car run smoothly. Automatic basically decides the gear shift for you, basically making you a cook in your own car. I'm just joking, of course. Many of the modern cars have shift pedals for manual style control, but the car still does the gear shift for you. And that's basically it, really. That's most of the things you actually need to know about transmission to have a roundtable talk with your friends. Power has been generated by the engine. Transmission sent that power to the drivetrain. Now, what does the drivetrain do with this power? Move the wheels, of course, but there are many different ways to do this. If only it were simple. There are 3 different ways. Number 1, rear wheel drive or RWD. It's exactly what it sounds like. The drivetrain transfers the power it received to the rear wheels. Many people consider it the best one, mostly because when you drive the car, the weight shifts to the back of the car, which in turn gives you more traction and better control. It is also considered better for handling as the front wheels are only for steering the car and the back wheels are for moving the car forward. It's present mostly on performance or sports car. It can be less predictable in low grip conditions such as rain or snow. That's why manufacturers made the all-wheel drive or AWD. It's like the Labubu of cars. Everyone wants their higher tier model to be AWD. BMW has model called X-Drive, which are all AWD and are priced several $1,000s higher than the base model. Sure, the other things are improved too. AWD means power is directed to all the wheels. Now you might say that's good and it should be zooming around the roads with so much power. That's not really the case. It has the most traction, meaning it will cling to the road like your ex who can't seem to to get over the breakup. Therefore again, unfortunately no audition for Fast and Furious movies. However, for all you happy with life citizens out there, this car will save you from slipping on muddy, rainy and snowy roads. Unfortunately, the components required to push all the power from the transmission to all the four wheels makes the car way heavier. There is also loss in power, so not all the power gets delivered to the wheels, and since there are 4 different destinations, the power loss is way more noticeable. Lastly is everyone's least favorite cousin, the front wheel drive or FWD. As you guys might have already noticed, this sends power to the front wheels. It's the cheapest and lightest to make as way less additional hardware is required. The path to power delivery is also shorter, but since when driving the weight shifts to the rear, this type of drivetrain is paired with traction, aka the perfect car for Fast and Furious. Okay, it's getting old. The Fast and Furious jokes, I apologize. Hey, did you notice something? We completed all 3 components: engine, transmission and drivetrain. However, there are a few more things to learn if you really want to impress your friends. Stick around with me for just a couple of more minutes. For anyone who stuck around, here are some awesome straight up crazy facts about engine placement. Most people know engines are placed either at the front, middle or back side of the car. By middle, I don't mean the driver sits on top of the engine getting their butts cooked. I mean the engine is just behind the seats. By far, the most common placement of the engine is at the front. Cheap cars, trucks, SUVs and even sports cars have their engine at the front. That's because, well, first, it's way cheaper and way easier to manage and repair. It also does not limit the trunk size. It can accommodate any type of drivetrain, AWD, FWD or RWD. Like we've already discussed, weight shifts back when driving, and as the engine is at the front, making the car front heavy, it generally means the car will have less grip. That's the problem with front mounted engines. When cornering, the front wheels lose grip before the rear ones. It's called understeer. If the manufacturers don't add extra weight to the back, which is called chassis tuning, this understeer can make the car drift. The second type is when the engine is just behind the driving seats. This is the rich boy placement. Supercars and hypercars have it. I'm talking about Lambos, Ferraris, McLarens. It's considered the best for handling because everything is centered and balanced. However, the downsides are massive to be used for daily drive cars. You rarely have any space for more than 2 seats. No space for anything, a tiny trunk at the front, and is way costlier to service. So many components are needed to be disassembled before the engine can be reached. Finally, we have the rarest of them all, the rear mounted engine. It's almost exclusively used by Porsche. The engine sits almost at the far end of the car. Although prehistoric Jurassic era Volkswagen cars had this config, no one other than Porsche cars use it in modern times. It adds so much weight to the backside of the car that if the rear wheels lose grip during corners, the car might oversteer and lose control. That's why Porsche cars are well known to reward experienced drivers and be harsh on non-experienced ones. Also, one of the main reasons why Porsche is one of the only ones to still be using it is because they have fine-tuned the chassis so much to make the problem of oversteer so less that only they have the knowledge on how to do so. Look at that, we're now in the final segment. You now have the knowledge to build a car and know most of the things in it, but there is one problem. When you turn a car, as the wheels are not in the same vertical line, there needs to be some adjustment. When you turn, the far end of the wheel, which is away from the corner, needs to cover more distance compared to the one which is nearer. If they both go at the same speed, the tires would bounce and shake. That's a big no-no. That is why every car has this thing called differential. It manages how the wheels work. There are 2 different types of it. First is open differential. Almost 95% of the cars in the world have an open differential. In super simple terms, the wheel which have less resistance, meaning wheels which have less grip gets more power, and the ones which have more grip gets less. It works completely fine in normal conditions but goes crazy when in snow or rain or where grip conditions are not good. That's why people get their car stuck in mud or snow. To have a better, more expensive differential, engineers came up with a limited slip differential. What it does, in simpler terms, is that the difference in power between the 2 wheels in the same axle, like the front wheels or the back wheels, is limited. Even if a wheel has full grip or less grip, the difference is limited. It gives the car more traction and you can have better control drifting. Now, that's a lot of things we discussed today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, maybe watch some of my other videos or the one popping up on your screen right now. It has all the words I mentioned today for the car I reviewed. See you in the next one.